Miller is angry.
You invaded the country. Went into the country and we seized the leader of Venezuela.
Damn straight we did.
And I'm saying,
we're not going to let.
So is the U.S. going to have new elections?
Jake, is that we're not going to let Tin Pot communist dictators send rapists into our country, send drugs into our country, send weapons into our country.
The left is uncomfortable exercising American power. It's as simple as that. They're ashamed we're a superpower. So when we throw our weight around, they feel bad about it, even though we're helping them. They're now arguing that Venezuela has the right to send us drugs, gangs, steal our oil, sell it to China, but if we do something about them, we're the bad guys. A communist-backed dictator who's been accused of crimes against humanity, we arrest him, and the Democrats say, we're breaking the law. Well, what's the point of being a superpower if we can't exercise any power in our own neighborhood? How about a little gratitude?
You know, at some point they should say, you know, you did a great job. Thank you. Congratulations. Wouldn't it be good? I would say that if they did a good job. Their philosophies are so different. But if they did a good job, I'd be happy for the country. They've been after this guy for years and years and years. And, you know, he's a violent guy. He gets up there and he tries to imitate my dance a little bit. But he's a violent guy, and he's killed millions of people.
Trump's taken out al-Baghdadi, Soleimani, the Iranian nuke program, and now dictator Maduro. And every single time, look it up, the left's against it. They say Trump is putting us in danger. Every time. That's what they say. How? By taking out bad guys? Soon they're going to be calling Maduro a Venezuelan dad. Biden had a $25 million bounty on Maduro's head. How'd the Democrats think we were going to go nab him? Maduro's going to turn himself in? Okay, gringos, you got me. I give up. Democrats literally campaigned in the last election exclusively on dictators are bad. That's all we heard, the D word. Defending democracy against dictatorship. So a real dictator lost the election, stayed in power, locked up his opponents. Trump puts that guy in handcuffs, and Democrats say he, went about it the wrong way. They put Trump in handcuffs, claiming he tried to steal an election. Well, Maduro actually did it, and a lot worse. Jasmine Crockett thinks it's unfair that the United States has the power to arrest dictators. Well, she's saying, well, if the shoe was on the other foot.
Guess what? There are a lot of people that don't like our leader. And regardless, somebody coming into the United States and grabbing our leader in the middle of the night and killing people in this country, I'm sure everybody would be outraged at them doing it that way.
This explains the liberal mindset perfectly. Maduro has just as much of a right to arrest Trump as Trump has the right to arrest him. America should not put America first, should not use our power for good, and should take no responsibility for defending its interests. Even when other countries are attacking us with drugs and gangs and colluding with our enemies, we just have to sit back and take it. What do liberals want to use American power for? Sex changes in Guatemala? Check. $20 million for Sesame Street in Iraq? Yeah. They don't want to defend our borders, only borders thousands of miles away. They don't even want to defend our money. They bring in migrants and let them steal it. Even when we blow the whistle, whoop, whoop, the Somalis are stealing our money, they still don't stop it. Gay marriage is illegal in Venezuela. Is that going to change Crockett's mind? Should we tell her that Juan can't marry Juan in Caracas? Biden left billions in military hardware in Afghanistan, got 13 soldiers killed, and then he smoked a family of civilians with a drone. And the Democrats were like, greatest airlift in history. Trump sends in Delta Force, 0 casualties, picks up this tyrant out of a military fortress in the dead of night, flies him back to New York, puts him on trial, and Democrats are mad. Why? Because they didn't get a heads up? Yeah, because they're telling soldiers to disobey orders. Why else? Because it's illegal? Bush did the same thing to Noriega, arrested him, put him on trial, and put him in prison. Didn't Democrats say all fall, got to give him due process? Well, that's what we're doing. Why else? Because there's no democracy in Venezuela yet? Well, there's no democracy in Libya either, after Barry bombed it back into the Stone Age, or in Afghanistan. We were there for 20 years. They are mad that we're taking the oil. What do you think this economy runs on? Solar panels? You think we're going to win the AI race with China with windmills? Did the Democrats even build any windmills in 4 years? Did the Democrats build anything? How about being proud to be an American?
Nicolas Maduro got to meet some great Americans wearing night vision goggles 3 nights ago. He didn't know they were coming until 3 minutes before they arrived. In fact, his wife said, I think I hear aircraft outside. They didn't know. You know why? Because every single part of that chain did their job. And they did it flawlessly.
You know who else didn't see it coming? China. All these Chinese spies crawling around D.C. They were totally shocked. Want to know why? Because we didn't brief Swalwell, and he didn't slip it to Fang Fang. You know what else they should be proud of? The Russian and Chinese air defense systems didn't work against our military. Trump really must be Putin's puppet if he's blowing up Putin's puppet in Venezuela. And this just in from the president. I am pleased to announce that the interim authorities in Venezuela will be turning over between 30 and 50 million barrels of high-quality sanctioned oil to the United States of America. This oil will be sold at its market price, and that money will be controlled by me as President of the United States of America to ensure that it is used to benefit the people of Venezuela and the United States. Did you know after the Iraq War, we barely won an oil contract? Barely. British Petroleum got fat contracts. The Russians got contracts. They didn't even fight there. But Americans spent a decade of blood and treasure, and we walked away with next to nothing. Not anymore.
I asked him, I said, Mr. President, when you say, quote, we're going to run everything, that obviously causes deep concerns because of the disaster in Iraq. The president's response, Joe, the difference between Iraq and this is that Bush didn't keep the oil. We're going to keep the oil.
Trump says take the oil. Democrats call that imperialistic. We call it common sense. You know, we won spoils after World War II. We told our allies, lose the colonies. We took half Japan's gold they stole, built military bases on everyone's turf, and pegged the world currencies to the dollar. Was that fair? We've neglected our own neighborhood for the last 25 years because we were stuck in the sand in Iraq and Afghanistan. And while we were there, China swooped into our backyard and turned out all of our neighbors.
For years, we sent our soldiers to die in deserts in the Middle East to try to build them parliaments, to try to build them democracies, to try to give them more oil, to try to give them more resources. The future of the free world, Jake, depends on America being able to assert ourselves and our interests without apology.
In 2007, Hugo Chavez stole oil rights from Exxon and ConocoPhillips and kicked them out of the country. Now, at the time, Bush was fighting to save Iraq. He didn't have the bandwidth to defend our interests in the hemisphere. That's just a fact. Now, the media is saying, oh, American oil companies, they don't want to go back to Venezuela. It's too expensive. It's going to take too much time. What kind of negative attitude is that? Oil executive phones are blowing up. Interest in Venezuela has gone from 0 to 99%, quote unquote. Chevron, Exxon, Halliburton, their stocks are on fire. The Dow's up 1,000 points since the raid. Gold's up. The Venezuelan bond market's going loco. Privateers are already aiming for a $2 billion raise. The oil companies, they're meeting tomorrow with the Secretary of Energy. Venezuelan reserves are already mapped. There's no exploration risk. That means quicker dinero, lower inflation, and more leverage for Estados Unidos. This puts Trump in a stronger bargaining position with Putin over Ukraine and gives America more leeway to conduct military operations without worrying about rattling the oil markets. We squeeze China. We even reduce our reliance on Canadian oil, and that gives us more leverage in trade talks. And the best part is, liberals, listen closely, boosting Venezuelan oil output improves the Venezuelan economy. I know you care so much about other people. It helps the people live better lives there so they don't have to migrate here and raise your rent. Democrats are whining that we swapped one dictator for the dictator's VP, but guess what? She's already cooperating and has been for over a year. The Financial Times reports this. The vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, has been conducting secret talks with Washington for a while, preparing for a post-Maduro Venezuela. Translation, she went behind her boss's back and backstabbed him. She's now in charge. You don't think this woman's going to play ball a little bit? Now, if she doesn't play ball, the naval blockade will choke off her cash flow, and she won't be able to keep her lights on and pay off her cronies. Just ask the Japanese or the Cubans how crippling an American naval blockade is. El Vice Presidente doesn't want to find out the hard way. She might not give us elections right away. She might not break up with the cartels because the cartel kickbacks are what keeps the generals fat and happy, but she will hand us back our oil and the gold and the minerals for sure, because that's what we're going to need for AI. Now, between Canada, the United States, Mexico, and Latin America, that puts Trump in control of a North and South American oil empire, which would control 40% of world oil production. Kind of makes us the new OPEC. We'd be in the strongest position we've been in a long time. But there's one more thing we need.
Greenland has a population of 30,000 people, Jake. The real question is, by what right does Denmark assert control over Greenland? What is the basis of their territorial claim? What is their basis of having Greenland as a colony of Denmark? The United States is the power of NATO. For the United States to secure the Arctic region, to protect and defend NATO and NATO interests, obviously Greenland should be part of the United States.
Not only are Russian and Chinese ships sailing all across the Arctic looking for riches and new routes, the flight paths of Russian missiles, they go directly across Greenland into the United States. Can't have that. The Arctic is the new frontier. It's the new battle space, economically and militarily. And this tiny, tiny, tiny Scandinavian country, a NATO member for sure, has an uninhabited colony, bigger than Alaska, sitting off the coast of Maine. Now, if we're going to defend NATO from the Russians and the Chinese, Denmark's not going to be able to do it because they just can't. And they're getting a little prickly about the situation.
To taunt the Danish special forces who protects Greenland is very easy, but I would like to see how many American soldiers who can cope with these Arctic temperatures and this very harsh environment. I don't think it's something that you get many soldiers to do from the American continent.
Yeah, I hate to break it to the Danes. We have long johns here too. Patagonia will happily provide parkas for the Navy. We have soldiers from the Upper Peninsula in Michigan. Gets a little cold up there in the winter. They're used to the wind chill too. If we needed Bermuda to defend the Caribbean from the enemy, I think the British would let us borrow the island. It's called sharing. Funny thing is, the Europeans are lecturing us about colonies. What's yours is yours. Really?
My response is that Denmark landed on Greenland before anyone ever thought about making the United States of America. So by that logic, the United States of America should go back to be a colony of the United Kingdom.
Okay, is that how it works now? Whoever gets there first gets to keep it? So I guess Russia gets to keep Ukraine. Sounds like the Danes are saying, I don't know. I have a better military doctrine. That's if you don't use it, you'll lose it. And they know it. And that's why they're begging Rubio for a meeting. And look at that. Trump makes a threat. Now they're coming to the table. They want to do a deal. There's a method to the madness. Maybe we use the oil money from Venezuela to buy Greenland. Maybe we just share it with the Danes. I hear the Scandinavians like to get down like that. We don't judge. Either way, after the Maduro raid, Trump has the wind at his back.
After the ousting, look at that. The support through the roof. Now we're talking about 37%. It turns out Americans like what they deem to be successful foreign policy operations. And in this case, they view the ousting of Maduro, at least up to this point, as a successful one, and therefore the support way up.
After all, we are not being the world's policemen. We're not doing this for the world like we usually do. We're doing it for us. And what is it that we're doing? We're looking out for ourselves, our people, our neighborhood, our country. Now, if the left can't get it together, Miller is going to be really mad.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.